Live from the Griffin's Grill in Los Alamitos, you're listening to The Coaches Show, where you'll get all the latest news and notes from your Los Alamitos football Griffins. And now your host, Justin Connolly.
Live and back again this year for the 2023 season for your Los Alamitos Griffins. We're back again from the Griffin's Grill this year. The Coaches Show is brought to you by the Showdown Series, your premier 7-on-7 football league in Southern California. And we are glad to be back this year. Super excited. Kind of can't hold it all in, Ken. Football's back. It's here. We're 4 weeks until season, and we're all excited to get going.
You know, Justin, with that cool-looking shirt like that, and if we're going to be on YouTube now, I need one of those shirts. That's just all there is to it. I got to look as cool as you.
Yeah, we gotta get uniform. I'm sure that's be something we're working on over the next 4 weeks. Make sure our socks are white, not black socks, white socks. That's common inside joke here as we lead you guys on this season. I'm sure you'll hear a few white socks jokes, as well as everything else you've heard over the years. For those of you guys who are tuning back in or who haven't heard from us in a while, Kent Bickel, Justin Connolly, we're here to bring you guys everything that's associated with Los Alamitos Griffins. And today we got William League here sitting in with us, and he's going to be presenting us with some pretty cool stuff as well. But to get it started, Ken, I got to let you take it over. And I know that you remember everything last year like the back of your hand.
8 years. I can't believe we've been doing this now for 8 years here at Los Alamitos. 11 overall. We started back at Fountain Valley. So, that's just a great testament that you're able to put up with me for all this time.
I just said that too. Our camera guy asked me, how long you guys been doing this? And I said, I think 10, I think a decade. So 11, I undercut myself by a year.
Well,
that was a JV year.
Well, you've carried me, so that's the only reason. Before that, our later on guest, Mo Pottios, carried me for a year. So he's a guy that was just before you. I was lucky to have some really good color guys to help out my squalor or my scribble, whatever the heck I do. Hey, listen, heck of a year last year for the Griffins. Finished number one in the state for public school teams with a 9-3 record. That's after a 10-1 after a D1 semifinal loss to Mater Dei. We won't go ahead and talk about the score, but just again, we were all there. Third consecutive unbeaten season in the Sunset League. The last time that was accomplished was the 48-50 Fullerton Indians. The last time a team has gone 3 consecutive years without losing a game in the Sunset League. That's pretty special. This year, if we run the table again, we'll tie the all-time record of the Anaheim Colonists back in 52-56. That's before any of us were born, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, even our camera guy. Yeah, he's younger than us too. More stuff about last year. Finished with the most prolific 3-year stretch in scoring in the school history, averaging 47 points per game over 3 years. It's just incredible. We were the most broadcast team in school history with 3 Game of the Week appearances, 4 Bally live stream games, and a national TV appearance on ESPN.
And everything else was covered by us here.
And everything was covered by us here. Even that game, we didn't get to go to Florida, but we covered it right here at the Griffin's Grill. USC commit Malachi Nelson, part of the 714 connection, threw for 105 TDs in his career. The previous high was Kevin Federick. He had 58 set in 93-95, so almost doubling it, which is just incredible. Those are huge records for Malachi. He's also got the career yards record as well. USC commit Makai Lemon broke Jeremy Child's career scoring record at Los Al with his 40th touchdown. Colorado State commit Damian Henderson tied Cortez Rice single season touchdown mark with his 23rd against Poly in the playoff game. UCLA commit Ethan O'Connor kicked a Griffin record 74-yard punt earlier in the year against Servite. And the reason that's even notable is because, remember Chris Cluey? Chris Cluey was the guy, punter probably in Orange County history, and went on to play for the Vikings and I think the Raiders too. But for Ethan O'Connor to beat that, knock that one out again, did it against Servite. Yes, it was a little wind-aided. Yes, it was kind of like a hurricane that night, but still it counts, right?
Yeah, but Ethan, it shows how great of an athlete he was. And, when you compare those names that you just mentioned, Kent, the Ethan O'Connor, Makai Lemon, Malachi Nelson, these guys, Damian Henderson, of course, these guys who all knocked off these records that have been standing for 20 years. I mean, it was really not just a decade team or a generational team. It was a double decade team, double generational team, to roll out those records of pretty much being every game on TV or broadcasted live. It took Los Al back to like what I experienced when I was 12 and 13 years old, which was you couldn't be on a Friday night and not either be at the Los Al game or be watching the Los Al game.
No, you're absolutely right. And Los Al, we have another record to shoot for, and that was Los Al was broadcast for 10 straight years through Los Al TV. So we know we got to beat that record. We got 3 to beat it. So I don't know, honey. Honey, listening back home, if I got 3 more years left in me here. But anyway, I like records, so I love to beat that kind of stuff. Anything else before we turn the page to this coming season? Just one heck of a season.
I mean, I got to tell you guys, I've been all over the football circuit, as well as most of the guests that you're going to hear from. Football is a different game this time, this day, this day and age, I guess you would say. It's 24/7. So we've been with these guys nonstop all off season. Had the blessing to help organize an event called the Showdown Series 7-on-7 tournament. So this year I feel like we're coming in very prepared. We've seen a lot of these guys who we're going to play when we see the Mission Viejos, even the Westerns to open the season. Pretty much every team that we have on the schedule, we've seen these guys out here live in 7-on-7, and we're going to get to see who's really real and who really ain't. Yeah,
no, it's again, you look forward to each season coming on. You close the book on the last, I call it the era, the Malachi, they call it the 7-1-4 era with Malachi and Mackay. It's hard to duplicate that, and certainly we were blessed to be part of that, and it was one of those real special times in my life calling football. It was really such a fun time, really just a great time. Well, anyway, this coming season, the Griffins actually graduated 14 starting spots last season, but we returned 4 of the starting linemen: Kapono Mao, Manoa Fapusa, Mackay Stewart, and Zion Scrivens. All those guys were huge guys. We're losing Alfonso Liamidi. Got a few guys that can step into that role to see if they can solidify that 5. But boy, 4 of the starting 5 last year on last year's very highly prolific scoring teams. That's pretty special, and it really bodes well for returning running back Anthony League. Anthony League averaged a whopping 13.6 yards a carry and 7 touchdowns last season, backing up senior Damian Henderson. And that's just, it's you got to be smiling over here, right? Well, I mean, that's your boy we're talking about. But, wow, that was just special with him coming back behind that line, and he looks bigger this year. I've seen Anthony
100%.
working. I mean, doesn't he? Just looks.
He's way bigger.
Man, he's got Derrick Henry going, right?
Last year, there was about 4 games, I think, that I ended with one call, all the same call. Night. There's big league going down the field and ending it off for us. So it was just like, Ken, I mean, it was like you get beat up by Damian, and then you're getting this handful of Anthony League. Mind you, this guy came in and, has the capabilities to play linebacker for us and is getting reps at running back. And every time he touches the ball, it's like it's a change of pace from Damian, but it was just as brutal, like just leaving guys on the ground, not ever getting tackled on the first tackle, first guy up. So it was a really fun set to watch this year, and it's going to be a whole brand new interesting dynamic as Anthony steps up into that Damian Henderson number 1 role and controls that role over the year, and he's got some guys behind him that are really freaking good as well.
I'm looking forward to see Gerard Terry run the ball. I know that he's a dude. I saw him at the youth level, and some of the stuff that he put off last year or as a youth guy was incredible. He didn't get a chance to play running back this past year, but think about it. He started as a defensive back as a freshman. So that tells you what kind of an athlete he really is. I can't wait to see him. He'll tell you off the record, hey, Doc, I want to be a running back because he's just a dude. But he can play any position.
And that shows the athletic ability of Gerard. He really went up against some of the best guys last year, and you never looked out on the field and were like, we've got a weak spot anywhere.
No.
We were solid. Gerard, as a freshman, stepped in. He was amazing. And we're going to talk about some of those other guys who make big impacts as freshmen as well. Jamiron Baker, who will be, looking this year to really lead a role. And, all of these guys have had tremendous off seasons. They've all continued to compete and work. A few guys have come in, a few guys have come out. But overall, Ken, I think the competition level here at Los Alamitos is the highest it's ever been.
No, I think you're right. And, you just named off a few guys that are just big time. And, again, we'll catch all of those players, in coming shows. We can try to get them on here. Again, the other guy you got to look forward. Before we move on to the next guy, Well, you got to talk a little bit about where Anthony learned how to become a running back. A little birdie told me that you actually played running back at one point.
Yeah, I played a little bit, a little bit here and there. The course of my career, played in high school, college, and went to Central Missouri and played for a little bit. I was able to play solely tailback. When I got to college, I played some running. I played some fullback too. So I wanted to stay on the football field, right? So you got to be able to play, got to be able to run, catch, block, and that was a key thing. I know with Anthony over the years, he's always wanted to play running back. We played, coached him a bit in Pop Warner. But, when you're coaching Pop Warner, you're putting your kids everywhere, So coming into Los Al, we was focusing on him playing linebacker, just development, find ways to actually get on the field. So it, for some reason, kind of gravitated back to playing running back. We thought that wasn't going to be for a little while. So he's excited. I told him that I'll get him the necessary training, whatever he needs. To help develop that position, along with playing some outside linebacker. But he's super excited walking into this year. He took it upon himself to train, to work out, to develop his speed while playing baseball all season. So, I'm a big pads guy. Everything tells everything in August.
Yeah.
So, looking into this season, he's dialed in, he's ready, and I'm excited just for this football season. Not just for him, but just, football's finally here.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting to watch him this year.
Mr. League, there's one story that I remember hearing over summer, just kind of throughout this offseason about, like you said, Anthony's playing baseball. I believe he was doing a little bit of track and football at once, and there was a story, I think, of him leaving baseball to go get a rep in at track or vice versa.
What, in between innings?
Yeah, like how does he get it done? I mean, he's very for those of you that don't know Anthony, he's just a professional on the field. He's not a big talker. He just gets out there and gets it done. He was the MVP of our championship tournament and has been tearing up the scene all off season. Obviously, getting more offers and whatnot. But how are you able as a father to watch your son hustle 3 different things like that and still clap him on at the end of the night to keep going?
Well, his mother, my wife, Tashara, is, she raised him on good is the enemy of great. And if you want to be great, you got to do great things. So he's kind of took that on as being able to push himself harder. Baseball, he loves baseball. Don't get me wrong, he loves baseball. But we was blessed to have a rainy off season. So that caused for some games to be canceled or moved. So that gave us the opportunity to really develop, learning how to run. He never got an opportunity to kind of run track like my daughter did. But I told him, if you're going to look to develop at running back and get better, you have to find ways to incorporate speed training and learn how to run. He took it upon himself to reach out to the coaches to find ways to get out there and train. We train late at night after baseball practice because he wanted to increase his speed. As he's getting bigger, right? You saw some of the change in his body. But we couldn't really just focus on just off weights. You had to find ways to increase that speed and hip mobility. So, that was all him, wanting, hey, Dad, I need to take me to the gym. Can you give me somebody to work with me? We've been blessed to work with a couple people in all season. Juice from GU, Coach Reggie over there. He was one of the coaches track coaches at Warren. So these are all family friends that, that took upon themselves to help develop in the offseason.
And I noticed you guys are a part of that Cam's Real Speed family.
Absolutely.
Putting out a bunch of great athletes. And one of the biggest interests I had when talking to you prior to this was you brought up a fact, I look at Anthony as like the star of the family. And you said, little do you know, Justin, Anthony's trying to burn the candle to his sister, Ania. And she was the original star, and she still is the star. She's playing soccer at Michigan, correct?
Yes.
She played locally for Cypress.
For Cypress, yeah.
Okay,
she played locally for Cypress, ran track for them, and played soccer.
And she pretty much had her pick of the choosing from the jump. Freshman, sophomore year, she kind of already knew wherever she wanted to go, it was going to be open to her. And she still continued to work very hard throughout this. Your wife was telling me, and that was more or less what Anthony's seen and what he has to strive for as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. His sister, Anaya, is the biggest trainer, biggest supporter, and biggest critic. So when things are not going up to her standards too, she lets him know. And watching her kind of go through that process of training, of sacrificing some of the social time, and really dedicate to her books and then her training. And then we kind of had to force her out to kind of enjoy some of the social time. But she had a goal, and to actually battle through that through COVID was a challenge. And while she worked through that, at the same time, we sent him to CRS Academy for Anthony to train. But when she's home, she's like, let's go to the gym. What are you doing here? Let that go. So the same teaching she's getting from Michigan, she's bringing back to kind of help, guide him, her brother along, because she sees the potential in him, and he sees what he wants. He has a goal where he wants to accomplish. So it's all kind of falling into place. I'm just a glorified Uber driver right now.
I love how you ended that one.
Hey, we're going to have, in addition to the returning guys we got a lot of new faces. We'll get into all those guys, on coming shows. But when we got to talk about first is, our new quarterback, Alonzo Esparza, coming over from Sierra Canyon. You see a different type of mentality as a quarterback. Kind of a Baker Mayfield. I think that's what Coach TJ talked about. That kind of a, fiery kind of a leader. Malachi was more of a cerebral guy. Just cool in the pocket. But you see Alonzo out there. He looks like a linebacker. He's got linebacker legs running around out there. Can't wait to see what the new look Griffins look like. With him at the helm. We've actually we're going to get a lot of these guys on as we head towards that our first scrimmage against Gardena of Sierra of Gardena on August 11th over at John Barnes Field. With that, let's go ahead and segue right on into Rep Max and what you do on over there. That's why you're here. Let's talk about what you do.
Okay, with Rep Max, one thing that myself, my wife Tashara, and Michael, my brother, we were all sitting over the last year or so watching my daughter's progression in her recruiting process and getting to Michigan. We saw a void just right in between, being an athlete and getting offers and getting those D1 or D2 or D3 scholarships. It's what are you doing in this void right here, which is your grades, your image, your resume, which is your Twitter, and being able to be trained in those particular things and help guide not only the athlete, but the parents. I know myself and my wife, we work all the time, so where do you find time? You get an advisement, right? So we had to learn, I guess, the hard way of finding out things here or there to make sure you put the full circle together to where you're not just relying on not just, what you hear here, but what the coach might tell you or a trainer might tell you. You had to start learning for yourself. So we found a way to really bridge the gap between the college, the recruiter, your coaches, the player, and the parent to where everybody's on the same page. And that's how we kind of evolve Rep Max, where we're allowing to, one, brand your child where you can put them in a position to be one step ahead of everybody else, which means just bring Anthony up. There's 10 Anthonys in a room. One coach, you have 3 minutes. How do you set yourself apart? And that's what Rep Max does. We allow timing and visibility to be the focal point of that particular athlete. All athletes can run, jump, and catch, but can you step out in front of everybody else to get that 30 seconds of time that you get with that coach, either at a recruiting trip or a camp or at a 7-on-7? If somebody happened to walk by that knows somebody else, you're constantly in an interview state of mind when you're outside your home. And that allowed us to be visible very quickly. And the great thing about Rep Max and what we do with our QR and our profiles, a couple of athletes were at one of the camps. They only had that 15 seconds, but they walked up. They had the QR code actually on their shorts. And they walked up and they said, "Hey, coach, I know you're pressed for time. Can I trade contact information? Can I give you my contact information? Can you pull your phone out?" So when they pull the phone out, they scan the code. It pops up. And one of the athletes leaned over and just hit add to contacts. And it took all that information and put it in that coach's phone, and it hit done. He said, now, when you're sitting at home later on that day, you can pull my name up, and all my information comes back up. And the great thing about that is that code doesn't change. So as we're updating throughout the season, which we do, we manage it. We manage it that whole year. So if something happens in game 2 where it needs to be brought to the light, we drop it on that code. So if that coach in Toledo wants to look it up and go, man, I want to see what that such as athlete's doing, that pops up on their feed already. So that allows you to be one step ahead. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about timing. These recruiters and coaches, they only have so much time in the field. And, and with our interviews we had with a couple coaches that send these recruiters out or these coaches out, and they're out in California and they got to hit 40 schools in 4 days. How do you do that when you come to a school and then you get tracked by the coach of that school for an hour and a half? So
how do you become the rememberable player in a typical speed dating format? And this is what Rep Max does: is it gives you that opportunity to give somebody your leaving contact. In business, for me, I've always been a guy where if you ask me for a business card, I'm gonna laugh at you. I'm gonna tell you I don't do business cards, but give me your phone. Let's exchange contacts and let's start this conversation right now. Rep Max puts it right there on a QR code, like you said, QR code on the shorts, on the backpack, on a card, on the phone, anywhere you like. Show coach that. Show anybody else professionally that somebody you might want an internship from, or maybe you just met somebody from a local record label or something cool like that. And hey, here's who I am. We watch Anthony do it live right in front of us at a business conference. Here's who I am. I'm checking you in, but check me out. Here's what I'm doing this year. And if you want to keep up with me, here's all my information and my contact. And I was very impressed by that LinkedIn for athletes.
Absolutely, and that's just one piece. I'll add it to Rep Max. We have our educational pillar where we're lining up with the athlete and the schools they want to go to, because we know athletes have their own counselor, but that's that one counselor to 2,000-3,000 kids. So we want to line the kid up to the schools they choose to go to make sure their A through G is lined up to their schools that they want to go to, instead of fishing at schools that you don't line up with academically, or like for example, some of these schools they want a running back that's 5'8". Some of these schools might want a running back that's 6'1". You got to be able to line things up, along with our educational pillar. And now on top of that, we do media training. We link up with certain people in the industry to where kids learn how to talk, introduce themselves, and be interviewed. And one of the most important ones is being caught on the interview right off the football field. That's the most dangerous one.
right.
It's just,
adrenaline's going.
Adrenaline's going, and you want to be able to represent yourself. So that school will go, I want that kid part of my program. There's a lot of people who can run, jump, catch, but that kid he makes my program better. Or that business to say, I would like that kid to kind of wear my product because he represents not only himself, but his community and his family the right way. So here at Max, I always say it's not for everybody, but it is for somebody. And we have a mission to train at 15 rather than fix at age 24. And that's one way that at Max we've been able to make ourselves available to everybody. And we're real hands-on, and there's stuff out there that can help you get your stuff out. But we allow ourselves to be able to go, this is how we do it. This is who I can put you in contact with. And this is the training we have available, not only for you, the athlete, but you, the parent. And then how we linked up with Los Al is, we talked to Coach Fenton about what we want to do. Los Al's an amazing program. It just, you guys know, it's a top-tier program, and out here, just not only in California, but in the nation as a public school. But we want to find a way to help the organization out, too, and it's worked wonders. We have their recruiting board set up in their office to where recruiters come in, they go, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. They go right to the board and go, oh, there goes X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Boom, 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 I have them. That's what I want. And while they're looking, one of the coaches walk them like, why you just got X, Y, and Z? Let me show you A, B, and C real quick. And they're able to take those 3, 2. So now they have 6 people when they were coming to see 3.
And then that's the big thing, too, is not only do the players get a profile, but the team as a whole can get a profile. And within the team profile, you have every player there who's on the recruiting trail right now. So, there's a lot of guys there that you're going to get. You might want to see Vaughn's recruiting stuff, but while you're there seeing Vaughn's recruiting stuff, now you get to run into Exodus, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And that's been the great impact for me, because along with our system, when we send a QR code and Michael, he sends blast out, 5, 6 athletes to all these schools, we can actually see that the code's been scanned. So if John Doe wants to go to, Florida, and we send a QR code to Florida, and the coach says, oh, yeah, we like him, but they never scanned the code. So what information did you ever look? What did you see?
Right.
And that gives a peace of mind not only to coaches but to parents. Like, hey, I know you wanted him to go to Florida, but let's take a look at Let's take a look at, Miami of Ohio. Let's take a look at, Penn State. Maybe that fits your athlete, your player fits them. And we'll send that information out depending on what the player needs. So we found a way to connect with the families and connect with the schools itself. And then we have a couple colleges that we're working on, too, because for junior colleges transfers, to where it's a little bit more streamlined because they know exactly where they want to go to. But we made ourselves available to be able to help everybody out and work out different programs for different people. Some people might need everything. Some people might only need this right here. And we're available to help not only families, which I really enjoy helping because, I'm a family guy. I love watching, going to the Showdown series and see everything happen and see all the excitement from all the hard work you're doing to have it roll out. And I'm just that guy. I'm 2 weeks away from football. Yeah. I'm excited. I get to watch my kid. My daughter is playing soccer. I get to watch her. And I get to watch all these athletes I got to see grow in the last 3 or 4 years. It's exciting. I'm going to always be that guy that just loves sports, I wanted to tweet out today about the running backs. Everybody's upset about what's happening in the NFL. I was right with them, like, pay them their money, So I'm just one of those guys, and we're passionate. Tashara is real passionate about what we do in the educational piece and how we really can develop these kids educationally and in media training because those particular lessons you learn, you can take outside of sports. You can go with an interview and apply for a job when you get your degree. So we're able to just really arm these young athletes, not only in football, we're working with track and field, lacrosse, volleyball, some cheerleaders. So we're able to work with all sports, and we're all happy. And we get to give back. We know how it was, what we went through in sports, and we know a lot of people that went through sports the same way, had different experiences, but you get to learn off those experiences.
So if somebody wants to come see your stuff, where is a good place for them to go to as we wrap this up?
They can go to rapmax.io,
okay,
and you have all our contact information on it. It's a lot of information on it because we attack everything, but you'll be able to see our contact information and reach out to us directly, and we'll be happy to come sit down and talk with you and see if this is a great fit for you and your family.
Another place for you to see them is at losalfootball.com, the new website that RepMax put out. I'm telling you, it is it's special. So if you forget repmax.io, you certainly won't forget losalfootball.com. You go there, you'll be able to see the RepMax logo, and you'll be able to link to them, I'm assuming, directly. So, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I really appreciate having us on. My wife, she's out of town right now, kind of working with some kids out there in Texas, and then my brother, he was coming down and just caught that bad 91 today. So we're all passionate about what we do, and you're here to willing to help. So we really appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you, and we're going to take this one to commercial real quick before we come back here for our next guest tonight, the fellas from Sunset Rewind. And we're back and joined by our host from the Sunset Rewind, Kevin Dull and Mo Pottios. Thank you for joining us, fellows. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thanks for having us. Back talking football again.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Super excited. You guys have been doing this now just as long, if not longer, than we have. As Kent mentioned, there's some old ties here going together between all of us. Me being a kid back in the day, you guys being involved with my program when I was playing, and then now going all the way into this. Now we're all tied into the Sunset League as one. You guys covering the Sunset League Greater as a whole, and Ken and I covering the Los Alamitos Griffins. It's become something where we get to see each other a lot more than we probably thought we would.
It's just funny how things work. I mean, Kent really got me into this whole situation because after Coach Davidson had left, he was your partner originally. We did this for a year or two.
Right.
Then I did a little time with Time Warner Cable. And then you hooked us up with Sunset Rewind when they lost their two guys as the season was getting ready to start. You recommended us, and here we are, 10, 20 years later.
Speaking of Coach Davidson, Los Al versus Western this year?
Yeah, game one. You guys will be there, right?
Yeah.
Let's go. I don't know. It's going to be a running clock. I might pick that game so I can get out of there early.
I don't know. Listen, it's you guys. Your first year together was pretty special. I was thinking, what was it like? Did you have to work through the bugs? Tell us about that.
When we first started, we were really like, we got to script this, we got to script that. But then as the season progressed, it just kind of became organic, and it just became, Mo and I have known each other for over 30 years. We go way back. So it just became, after a while, two guys talking.
The interesting thing was I started watching the previous guys, and I'm like, Kevin, I know nothing about production. Like, this is
Right.
I can talk football, but what they were doing, he said, no, we'll make it work. It's fine. I'm like, that's easy for you to say, but if we look like idiots, I'm going to be a little upset. But they kind of raised their game. They have an actual studio now with the production crew, so all we got to do is go and watch football and talk about it, which is
And our
something I'm comfortable
producers,
with.
we got to give credit to Murphy Cargis, Cole Manzinger, and Taryn Rodriguez. I mean, the crew we have, and of course Jason.
Yeah, it's
Wouldn't
funny.
be anywhere without Jason.
Producers, all those guys. Yeah, we got all those producers too, right, Justin? We got so many producers and the people out in the truck producing this show. It was really pretty wild.
Most of the production goes on about 15 minutes before the show. You're like tweaking and adjusting.
Well, when you're ready to go next level, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's going to make your lives a lot easier, so just consider that.
Jason Levin did a great job. He brought in some kids doing an internship this summer, a kid named Spencer that's been very instrumental helping us to get ready for this upcoming season. So it's really true. It's not just us in front of the camera. It really is a team. You have to have a team.
Yeah,
They make it. They're the team, the production team behind the scenes over there. They make it look great. I know we watched everything you guys did last year. Coming from the office down there in Costa Mesa, it always looks beautiful. You guys come correct every week. It's on schedule. We know where we can find you. On YouTube is the number one place that I personally find you guys talking about things. But for our fans out there, really the Sunset League is a premier league in not just California, but publicly all over the United States.
What do you always say about it?
I'm convinced that the Sunset League is the best public school in the country, and I would say this to you if you doubt me. Find a better one.
And I back
what
that
league
up.
in terms of public schools do you think, if they had a round robin, would perform better than the Sunset League? There are good leagues, and I'm sure there would be some contenders, but when you look top to bottom, I'll take that league against any league around.
And that's saying something because both of us were South Coast League guys growing up.
Yeah, that's true. El Toro guy, yeah. I gotcha.
It's a strong league as well.
But the Sunset, he's right. The Sunset League is the best and premier public school league there is in the United States, period.
I mean, look how many players go to the next level, whether it be Division I, Division II, even JUCO. I mean, there's so many, and that's the nice thing about this league is you form relationships with these players, and you get to follow them after high school. You get to see how the quarterbacks are doing, the receivers at the big-time programs in school. So it's fun as we're starting to get to know these guys, to follow them and to see how far they can take it, whether it's college or maybe a couple guys in the pros.
I mean, look at this. Los Alamitos notes I have in front of me, the guys that are left from last year. Oh, my God. It's like an all-star team.
Yeah.
It literally is. I mean, and that's one team in a great league. Huntington's got some players, Edison, all of them, CDM, Newport, Fountain Valley's got some guys.
Yeah, you guys probably didn't catch the first part of the show, but we actually were the number one public school team in California last year.
Yeah.
Thank you for making my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's great. Los Alamitos and Mission Viejo this year. That's another
yeah,
good circle on the calendar.
That was one we
man.
all wanted last year. Everybody wanted that one last year. And, Mission's been such a strong team, and Los Alamitos such a strong team as well. I really wanted to see Mikey Matthews and Mekhi Lemon, the kind of one-on-one matchup from the top wide receivers, public school-wise, in the county and stuff. But, that's going to be a fun one this year.
That should have been the championship game the last couple of years, and that was kind of the thinking until CIF changed the format. Of course, 3 years ago there was COVID. There was no playoffs. But the last 2 years, had they gone with the original format, that probably would have been the Division I finals.
Yeah.
Or Division II with minus the Trinity League. So
depending what they
now
call
we'll
open.
Exactly. It changes every year. So.
Well, that whole public, we can get into that later. Maybe we
We got all year to talk about that.
We beat that dead horse.
Save that. We're going to save that one.
Yeah, let's talk about. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about last year. You guys know somebody named Mike Cobley. He's got some hard-hitting questions for you.
Here we go.
I thought I'd pass it along to you, right?
I saw him today. I spoke with Coach
did
today.
you really?
Yeah, I did.
He wanted to know who your favorite departing Sunset League player was.
Oh, I know. I'm going to have to. God, there's so many from Lemon. Love that kid. Just so great. And his parents are always so nice to us and everything.
So the parents are really part of this equation,
Yeah,
right? I hear you. They're great people.
The Los Al kids' parents were so nice. All the Sunset League parents were. I mean, there's a Newport Harbor. Colton Joseph was a good kid, and I mean, well, you got a personal connection, high school wise, there, don't you?
Who?
Well, didn't what's his name? Did that go to El Toro?
Oh, that's the tight end. He's still around
right,
from
right.
Giuliano. He's
Oh,
only a
Zach's
junior at
still
CDM. Yeah, I think he's 6'5", and he's only junior.
You know, Mo was kind of alluding to it earlier. The Sunset League is so fun and competitive, but it's like the way they treat you. Kane Elroy at Fountain Valley, great kid. His parents really nice. So, you go to school by school, you can name parents at each school. we're over at CDM the other day. Coach Heddig, first-year coach, he's rolling out the red carpet for us. Everybody, I mean, is just so nice and so gracious and just so fun to be around. And it's awesome. Like after the games, you're going up and talking to parents. Like Carter Hogue at Edison, got to know his parents pretty well last year. Like all those guys. Mo and I were talking about that the other day. We were saying like, almost we wish we had been able to start this earlier because like we're at these schools now covering stuff for next year, and we're like, oh, he's not here anymore. Like Carson Diavolo.
It took us a year to kind of get to know everybody.
And then we're
last
kind
year
of
was
like
so senior heavy, the league.
Like we've been talking like Diavolo's at Navy. We're like, man, that'd be cool to go to Navy and watch him play a college game.
There you go.
It's just such a wonderful league and just wonderful parents, wonderful student athletes. Just it's the best. It just is.
You guys are rock stars, though. Everybody knows the Sunset Rewind guys, and they're gonna be nice to you. Justin and I, we're just faces on radio.
No.
Hey, you got the camera. Hey, you're
Yeah, we
on
got
next
camera,
level.
right?
That's part of it.
No,
Yeah,
you guys
look
are
at
you guys are the premier play-by-play team. I'm going to say in Southern California high school football. That's my opinion.
I'll just say this. So we're getting ready to do the magazine. We're almost done. And one of the questions I ask every coach is, do you have some kind of podcast or something that people can watch on TV? And you're the only one that have it at Los Al. Newport Harbor has what's called TAR TV.
Right, TAR
but it's not
TV.
quite what you guys do.
Edison did have something with Charger One.
And the family moves. So,
They did.
you guys are the one school in the Sunset League that can, you can listen to live, which is pretty cool. Parents are out of town. Relatives all don't live in Southern California, so there's a lot of people that like to watch their kids or listen to them, and you guys provide that service. So that's huge.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many people out of state are actually listening to you. Mo and I having done that before. You get text messages, hey, so-and-so from Oregon's listening to you guys right now or whatever. I'm sure you guys get the same.
It's pretty cool.
I was listening to you guys call it when I was in college, so I'd be getting ready, to go have my fun for a Friday night, and I would have it playing on in the background. So I'd hear Kent and Dan calling it, or Kent yourself, and I think that it's a big plus for family members that are out of town for sure.
Well, just think about, going a little nostalgic, the 2007 game.
Yeah.
That call with you and Danny.
Yeah.
When Vince Perry, who came over to the Sunset League, was at Huntington Beach last year. He makes that tackle. You remember that?
I do.
man.
I do remember that.
I'll still
Somebody
play
put
that
the
on
Rocky
YouTube.
song in the. I can watch it and get chills.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's like the way you called it and the music, and it was really cool.
Well, it's funny. You get one of those moments. It's kind of like Dan Marino going to the Super Bowl. He did it once, right? And thinking, wow, that was like my second year doing this thing, and you get the opportunity to do something like that. And you think, wow, I can do this. 17 years, right? And here, I had never had anything like that since. 17 years later, I'm still waiting for the next one,
Is
right?
there anything better, though, than that Friday Night Lights and on the sideline, or even when you're calling a game up in the booth, just the energy and, oh, man.
You get, we both get I get nervous stomach, for all this stuff. It's like I'm playing, kind of like when, you just get that, and it's so much fun. It's energetic. It keeps you young.
It does.
It's
It
all
really
the good
does.
stuff.
I've even stepped out of line a time or two.
Oh, he's the best.
Oh, God, no kidding.
I'll be next to you guys filming to get footage. I just hear him you guys will be off the air. And, oh, man, he yells more than the coaches.
I want to be the clock monitor, the coach. I've got so many hats that I want to wear, but watching the games live from that view is tremendous. It's something that you really can't beat. I think we all get to enjoy that. You get that quietness,
and
too.
you're brutally honest. I try to keep it pretty positive, and all right, he dropped the ball, no big deal. You let them know how you feel, which is that's important.
Yeah, I think that's the Cobley-esque in me. Coble would definitely coach. Sometimes I think, call the games away, coach. I got a real tight relationship with a lot of these players, a ton of respect for them more than anything. All of these guys, every guy that puts on a jersey on Los Alamitos, better than I, no doubt.
Right.
They could be the last guy on the
bench. You can still get
bench.
ticked off and let them know how you feel.
But I do know the game of football, and I do love these guys, and I know what they're capable of, and I think that's like one of the things, like you said, that just keeps me amped up all week, every week. Mr. League that we had on earlier, William texted me on Monday, and he's like, it's football season, and I'm just right back at it to him. The energy's alive. I'm getting the text from everywhere around the county right now. Was excited to come here to do this today, and like we said, you guys are going to break into it nonstop throughout the season, and you're going to get, if you tune into us, definitely tune into Sunset Rewind, because you're going to get two sides to everything. You're going to get our biased opinion. Sure. You're also going to get, what's the other school saying about Los Al? What are these other players saying? And more so than anything, I love when you guys have those guys in studio. and you
it's
get
so
those
much
real
fun.
life stories right there. Just like we have our kids here, but we play Edison every year. We're like, we know that team's full of great kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to know them all just as well as I know the Los Al guys.
That's a great point because honestly, I was driving home last season. I'm saying, if you could go back and coach, which Sunset League school
Yeah,
would you go to? And we
oh.
literally were the whole car
Yeah.
thinking, I don't know.
I
Because there's so
can't- I
many
don't
good
know either.
like the staff's been great to us. The kids, like you said, they're all great kids. I mean, you get to know them. You're like, that's a really good group of guys. The facilities are phenomenal. I mean, almost every Sunset League team, you can feel the coastal breeze
And
at practice.
I will tell you
I mean,
this.
there's so many things to like about all of it. It's awesome.
And as far as head coaches go, this is the top of the top of the top. I don't like not only the best league. I don't think there's any league in America, and I'll even throw in the Trinity in there. I mean, the 6 guys that are the head coaches of the Sunset League are the nicest, most professional, coolest guys that you will ever meet. And like when you show up at their practice, they make you feel like you're a part of the family. They're like, hey, Sunset Rewind guys are here. Guys, make yourself at home.
And the one
awesome.
challenge is those guys are busy. I've worked
Yeah.
with head coaches, and they got a million things on their plate, and we're kind of bugging them. Hey, can we get your roster? Can we get that? Like, you try to. There's a real fine line between bugging them, but we got a job to do. But they've been really responsive, and I get they got a million things on their plate, so you try to balance that. Hey, we got to get this, but
And the
nope,
kids,
I'm not
the
bugging
kids
you.
treat you like
Right.
a part of the team. We're at Huntington Beach a couple weeks ago getting the pictures for the program, and I'm standing there and I got the whiteboards and Pottios is taking the pictures. And one of the Huntington Beach players comes to me, hey coach, need some water? Hands me a Gatorade bottle. I'm like, oh yeah,
my God.
all right, I'm one of the guys.
That's great.
Yeah, just awesome stuff.
Speaking about Huntington Beach, I don't know if you've seen their new quarterback yet.
Yes.
Edmonds,
Huh?
Yes.
6'6"
Brady
freshman.
Edmonds.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's talk about him. Let's talk a little bit about some of the players, especially the players that are returning or the new coming. That freshman. I'm really interested to hear what you have
He's
to say.
good. He's the part, and we've seen him throw a little bit. What really stands out to me league-wise, I was talking with Mo earlier about this, is 5 of the 6 schools have new quarterbacks this year. Fountain Valley is the only one returning a quarterback.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Which is, so you're not only going to just see Huntington Beach, you got Newport, you got Esparza. Los Al looks great.
Yeah.
We were over there a couple weeks ago, and he looks like a dude. Like, oof, like
Yeah.
Los
But
Al's
getting
been
back to the quarterback at Edmonds, it's going to be interesting because, he's very hyped, and understandably so. He's 6'6", he's got an arm.
Yeah.
Are they going to start him right off the bat? I mean, I'm sure there's other quarterbacks in the program that he's going to have to beat out because, go back to your freshman year in high school, the difference between your freshman to sophomore to junior, senior year, it's night and day, and there's a big learning curve. The one thing he's got going for him is he got 2 outstanding linemen, Justin Tuanu'u, who's going to Stanford.
Yep.
And they got the kid Morella, who's going to Air Force. Jackson Brown was a running back. He was injured all last year, so he's back. They returned a couple receivers, so he's got a lot around him.
Jarositano.
Yeah, and Gray.
Yep.
So he's got guys to protect him, but at some point he's going to have to drop back, read some coverages, and make the throw. So how quick can he get that learning curve down and get to that level to where he's an effective quarterback as opposed to just trying to protect him? So that'll be interesting to see how much he progresses, but it'll be fun to watch.
Newport Harbor looks super intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Just what they've done.
Well, you know his quarterback very well, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
And the receiver coming in. I mean, the Sunset League's going to be, it's going to be awesome again. I mean, Huntington's got some guys. Fountain Valley has improved greatly. We covered them already. Newport Harbor, CDM is CDM. They lost a lot, but Caleb Annette's a great quarterback, and he did really well last year when Razor was hurt, and stepping in for him, like CDM was just as good. So I mean, like I said, you got all these new quarterbacks, but they're all really good. I mean, even the Edison kid looks good too. I mean, we covered them at the Battle of the Beach the other day.
Save Niamata, he's
Niamata looks good,
transferred
yeah.
from Mission Viejo, and
Okay.
he's only a
Yeah.
junior.
All right.
And, really, this is a very junior-heavy league right now. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Los Alamitos, for example. Your quarterback, your running back,
Yeah.
tight. I mean, you all over the place.
Anthony League's gonna be
junior
great.
and sophomore.
The offensive
got some-
line.
Yeah. Fountain Valley, Noah Banu is the only returning starting quarterback, and he's upped his game.
That's what I was going to argue. For anybody who missed it, I think the slickest move in all of high school football was the lateral jump from Alonzo Esparza. I mean, think about the line that
Yep.
you're inheriting. You're inheriting guys who just protected the #1 quarterback in the
Right.
nation and did a darn good job of it.
Yeah.
You're inheriting a bunch of other starters, a guy in the backfield with you who goes for 13.6 a carry.
Yep.
You're inheriting a receiver who went out there and, as a freshman and played against all the toughest talent on a national TV schedule. I could just go down the list and name guy after guy
Well,
after
consider
guy.
this. When you lose a quarterback to SC, a receiver to SC, a running back to Colorado State,
Well, here we go,
those
right
are
here.
very big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just replace them with, Mitchell, who looks like he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. when I first
Oh
saw
my
him.
gosh!
Devon Mitchell, yeah, he's a
Totally
dude.
asked
Oh,
who we're
boy.
going to miss the most. I'll tell you the guy I'm really looking forward to watching is Esparza. He's got an energy about him that he'll throw the ball 50 yards downfield, and then he'll go down and chase the receiver and talk to him as he
looks
sprints back on the huddle.
he looks like a field general.
He's
You're
a
like,
wow. peak.
Like I'm watching that guy
athlete.
throw.
Peak performance, peak athlete, peak body mass, like the amount of heightness.
Yeah, he's all buff and he rolls up
what
his
do they
shirt
say?
and shorts.
Like, his flow state. He's always in the flow state. It's always right. If he makes a bad throw, he's still running to the receiver to communicate. Leadership-wise, I think he shows it from the second he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep. I think Alonzo is going to have a lot to do with this team and where they go and the engine that it runs on. And I think for those of you who've been tuning in for years and years, think Cade McConnell. Think about those guys who, they had Malachi had it as well. He had the talent and he had it. Sometimes you're going to see with Alonzo, he's got the talent, but sometimes that it is going to shine a little bit more. Like you just say, how did he make that play? And it's just sheer grit.
He reminds me a lot of a Pete Carroll in terms of how animated he was on the sideline, that energy, that passion he brings. I just love the way he breaks that huddle, and there's something to that. And you compare him and Malachi. Malachi was more like a traditional Tom Brady, drop back, go through your progression, and was very professional at what he did. Whereas this guy, he's doing a lot of RPO. He just everything he does, it's just infectious. The way he carries himself,
just his energy is kind of like almost like Baker Mayfield-esque.
Exactly.
Remember that? And
Baker
Mayfield. I mean, that's what it reminds me. He was flying around the field,
or Mansell before he had Heisman's not after.
Esparza's just got that field general quality where, like, you're watching, oh, man, I'd like to play with a guy like, playing a team with a guy like that. He's awesome.
It's funny you guys talk about that, and, the coaches will talk about what's going on in the weight room right now, and what's the energy like in the weight room, because that's where you win it all.
That's a big question.
Mm-hmm. It's outstanding. I talked to, I think it's Coach Cobley, and he's next week's guest. He's telling me that in the weight room, it's the best weight room he's seen, maybe like ever. It has this incredible energy, and it's really neat to see some of the stuff that you'd say during the Edison passing tournament. Some of the stuff the leaders were doing out there with other players that, let's say, dropped a ball or what have you. It was not pointing the fingers, giving the cold shoulder. It was all, let's pick you up. And it was just this chemistry in this team, especially for so many, basically 14 new starters. It's pretty darn incredible to see what we're seeing out there.
To that point, Devon Mitchell, I watched you guys play at the Battle of the
Bay.
And, he'd catch a ball, or maybe he didn't, but he'd be picking up the defender and just that kind of stuff. I mean, you don't see that often, and it's just to your point about how they're treating each other in the weight room, the energy, all that matters, and it makes a big difference. So we'll see.
And you can see between them all. I mean, you get around those guys. There's some names we haven't even tossed out there that you'll hear a lot about this season, but like Kobe Boykin, absolute phenomenal attitude, works his butt off. Follow the guy on social media, constantly working. Devon Mitchell. A guy would go out, catch the ball with one hand, stiff arm you, score the touchdown, and then, like you said, pick you up off the ground. Gerard Terry just, he could go anywhere on the field. Gerard's one of those guys, just knows football through and through. He could go anywhere on the field, and he'd probably go to defensive end and tell you where to go.
Right.
How about my man, best name
just
in football,
nonstop.
Jamiron Tron Baker.
First of all, I want to give Tron a shout out. He's, stay up. I know you're injured this year, but still going to do a lot of great things. Just rehab and get well, and we look forward to watching the kid play. He's a great kid.
He really is. We've had both he and Gerard, on the show, and we were just taken aback by how mature those freshmen were.
Right.
As freshmen, they were so articulate. It was not too big for them. The spotlight was not too big for him.
Poly game, quarterfinals, making plays, picks.
Yeah.
That's freshmen. You just don't see that often. To compete at the varsity level, that level of competition, as a freshman and being effective.
And I didn't even get to say my favorite part this year that I'm just so excited about is the secondary. Jet White on one side, Tuchek on the other side. I'm going to be standing on top of a mountain screaming to everybody how great the cornerbacks are.
It's funny you say that.
Tuchek is amazing, and people have not noticed it yet. And I hope that this year he really gets his shine. And Jet, he's going to continue to do his thing. But, yeah, we're nice.
It's interesting. I was going to say real quick, I was telling Dole, one of the hardest teams to cover is Los Al because you just have so many good players. We could talk about 8, and there's like another 10 that we haven't even covered who are just as worthy or deserving of recognition. I mean, you've just got great players all over the place. I mean, I may as well just get the roster out.
Yeah.
He's
Knock
good,
into that
he's
list,
good,
Coach.
yeah, right? I mean, that's
It's
Who
funny
did
you
we
talk about
miss?
Exactly.
the secondary. You talk about that. It's funny. I was texting Kobe a couple weeks ago to do the write up for the magazine, and boy, he like the section he wrote about the secondary. I was like, I just keep reading. Names just kept coming.
like,
oh
dude, this
my
is gonna be a
God.
dictionary by the time we get done.
I'm like, and Cobley knows the game of football as well as or better than anybody. So when Cobley tells you a player's good, you're like, oh, he's
He's
great.
really good. Yeah,
he's really
exactly.
good, yeah.
He's seen a lot. So.
Yeah, you see
Yeah.
Kobe smile. It's like,
Yeah.
wow,
Uh-huh.
what just happened here?
Yeah.
If you get an answer more than like 4 or 5 words,
Right.
you know that the player's got something going on. Kobe knows what's up. He's a smart guy. And
I mean, yeah, this.
what are we missing? I know you guys did a bunch of research going into this, and you guys always have everything completely correct. And sometimes it's I guess the best as human beings, we have how we perceive ourselves as a team. But what are we missing over here as far as what you guys see from the Los Alamitos Griffins? Not us as a team, but Los Alamitos Griffins as a team. Our perception of us as a team going into this year, and maybe what do you guys see from the rest of the league when you're out there talking to them?
Well, in regards to Los Al, I think the one thing that's missing, I don't know if missing is the right word, but the way, and again, I don't want to get on this horse, the CIF structure,
Right.
you're getting the mission treatment that they've had to deal with the last 6 or 7
Exactly.
years, where clearly you're one of the best teams in the county, and you're really not getting an opportunity to play for that ring because you're being thrown in with the Modern Days of the world and the Boscos, who are the top 2 teams in the nation.
Right.
And it's just, again, I don't know if we have much time, but I don't want to go that route. But I want to see Mission
That's a
and
long
Los Al
book you
play
could
for a
write.
CIF championship.
Yeah.
I want
Yes.
to see a semifinal matchup or a
Yes.
rematch with Edison. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many great opportunities.
Just how even that Poly game versus Los Al last year
Wow.
was so much
that
fun.
should have been a semifinal
Or a Corona
championship
Centennial in
game.
Yeah.
there. Even
Absolutely.
somebody climbing like a Yorba Linda. Who's
Yeah,
climbing,
exactly.
You know? It's like, yeah, get them in there.
Yeah, so again, that's the one downside. And again, they can change it at any time. So I don't know if it takes us to constantly complain or make attention about it.
Yeah, let's have another show over
Yeah.
Sunset Rewind.
You have to
You'll
create a
you'll hear
couple
me
more
complain
message
about it a
boards.
lot, right?
But it is what it is. You can't think like that as a player. You got to go out and play the next opponent in front of you. You said with your previous guest that they have a chance to do something that hasn't been done in the 50s. That's going defeated
Yeah.
in Sunset League play. I mean, that's a pretty amazing accomplishment. And I don't care what happens to CIF. If you put that on your resume, you've been a part of something that most people on this planet weren't even alive when it last
And you're
happened.
talking
Well,
about.
we're all just taking Kent's word for it.
But when you mentioned Sunset League,
I know. You
assuming-
get a persona. I mean, I could say anything. You guys will believe me
and
now.
you throw out Fullerton and Anaheim in the Sunset League.
Yeah,
last
think
time.
about
That's
that.
old school.
That's really old school.
Yeah.
And the Anaheim, I believe still the all-time winningest program in the Sunset League, and we're right there on their heels.
Well, they've got 20 league titles, and so does Edison. So we've got 16.
Okay, so
But we've been in the league a lot less than
Right.
either of those 2 schools.
That's the thing. It's kind of a,
Yeah.
you can play up the stats a little bit, but they've done a great job since coming over. So
Yeah. The Griffins have certainly taken care of business.
Yeah,
100%.
without a doubt. And I think it's going to be another stellar season for Los Alamitos. Everybody's looking forward to watching the Griffins, especially with that non-league schedule, which is very interesting and should be a lot of fun. And then once they get into the Sunset League, obviously you never skip any games. You always kind of circle the Edison game.
Oh,
You
yeah.
always know.
Last game of the year this year. Yes,
Right.
Week 10 for the likely
Could it be for league?
Likely
Yeah.
for Sunset League championship. And Dave White's the new
I
the
was
new
just gonna-
defensive coordinator.
defensive
over there.
coordinator, that's
That's a whole different animal now.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
don't
he's a legend.
underestimate that move. That is that's a specified chess move on the chessboard that was made for a reason, and that's
Yeah.
greater above even you or I or all of us at this table. That's 5D chess going on in Sunset
That's
League,
right.
and we're playing checkers. That Dave White saying, "Yes, I'm going to run and control this defense," is a direct. Not like a shot or a call or
Almost
anything. It's
like
a direct thing to Los Al. Okay, Edison's still here, and we're going to always be here, and we want back to the top. They're probably pretty upset that 3 years have gone by, and they haven't 4 years now since they've touched any type of title.
And
Right.
keep in mind, you guys are the target on everybody's calendar.
yeah.
You're the game that's circled, so everybody's going to get up for Los Al. You don't get that free game because you're
Nope.
in a lot of ways their bowl game, and so you're going to take everybody's best shots. So you got to be prepared every single week because you're going to be getting the team's best.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think last year we may have didn't realize that or underestimated some teams. Didn't really play our A game in a few games, especially in the early part of the season. We got smacked down for it.
Now, with all due respect, like I was with you guys,
Huh?
I think Los Al would have beat Bosch if they played him again.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think
Well, that was circumstantial. Yeah, Los Al had no business losing that. That was a good lesson.
That game changed a little bit after an ejection in the first quarter. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
And that
A
team really had to. That team came together towards the middle of that season. There was that whole thing about TA not being able to play and this and that, the other.
Yeah.
The team came together. I think this team is already firing as a team together, and they've shown that. I'm going now seeing them play at 5 or 6 of my own tournaments, and there was only the first tournament, literally, when they just decided to put shirts on and come out and play, that they didn't look together. After that, it was money from there on out. This team is goal-oriented together. They are goal-oriented on their own, and they are the smartest football IQ team that we've had. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be interesting because I don't want to get too far ahead, but next year they're re-leaguing. And it's almost a guarantee that Los Al and Mission will be in that division, or they call it League A.
When that happens, we already know the first guy to call us.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to know more about that than
He already has an Excel sheet set up.
Yeah.
The thing that's
Yeah,
interesting
we're already
about
trying
that,
to figure out the week 7 pre-league games.
well, here's the thing. Yeah, it's only a 4-team league.
Right.
So you're going to have to find 7 non-league opponents. And after week 5, everybody's in league. Nobody wants to play Mission or Los Al anyway. I mean, that's going to be challenging. And they can't play each other because they're league opponents. I mean, you're really getting...
I guarantee you, if you run into Kent McKell on the streets, and this is true. Hey, I'm a parent at Rancho Alamitos. What division is my kid going to be in next year? He'll be able to tell you. He will be able to tell you. Name a school in Orange County.
Right?
He will
So it really doesn't matter what we say, though. We could push against all we want for this four-team division. We want to keep Sunset. It's not going to matter. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, and we're gonna be here to report it to you guys.
Well, unless they call League A the Sunset League. Wouldn't that be fun?
There might be 3 teams. I mean, we know Los Al's in for sure.
And Edison.
It's going to be Mission, Los Al, and then it's between
Yorba
Edison,
Linda.
Yorba Linda, and San Clemente.
Right.
The conventional thinking is there might be another team that pops
What do
in.
you
if you put San Clemente in there, you could call it the Sunset League.
What do you think about this? So far, the strategic lineup I've seen that you showed was Division A, B, C, D, etc. Isn't there something kind of nostalgic and romantic about having the names like Sunset League? That tells you something about where it's South Coast,
Absolutely.
Empire. That tells you like Freeway League. It's like, oh no, we're Division D. No,
we're League D, right?
Yeah, they need to have the names are like
It's so generic and
the names are so nice to have it. It's just South Coast. They must be.
what is it going to say on your Letterman's jacket? League A champion.
Yeah, exactly. League
No,
League A1. Right? It's like bingo. A1. You're League A Division 2 or League
It's
A.
gotta keep
A3. Right?
When somebody from Texas tells us we won the D3, AA,
Right.
AAA state title,
Right.
we're like in California, like,
What is? Yeah.
but we're like,
good?
we won the
Congratulations.
Yeah,
we won the Sunset League title, and even if you don't know what that is, you're like, oh, we are like the top league under
Right.
the Trinity League. The Trinity League, the one where you see all the teams. Oh, okay, the Sunset League. Okay,
It's
you
a
can
little more
put two and
easy
together.
to have perspective.
And how about this? Your insight on this. So if you're in that 4-team league, you have 3 league games. You're going to have to find 7 non-league games.
Yes. We're already working on it.
Right.
Well, Edison, to their credit, did something this year. They might want to wait till next year.
The
They're actually
0-0.
playing 2 week 0 or
In
0-0
Hawaii.
in Hawaii. That solves 2 problems potentially. But their schedule this year is going to be fine. But for next year going forward,
Well,
you might have to get creative.
Los Al's going to Hawaii next
Okay,
year.
that's smart.
Okay.
Well, maybe you can
And we're probably
get a second one.
We're
in.
working on 2 games in Hawaii next year.
I love it. That's
But
smart.
not in Maui. We're be playing on Oahu, where the
St.
the real
Louis.
schools
You got
are.
some ringers over there.
Right.
So.
First one is
Yeah.
Kahuku. So,
Kahuku.
Okay.
All right.
yeah, so we're
That'd be
we're looking
awesome.
at some big guys.
So you're already being proactive about that, knowing
Yeah.
what's coming. So that's smart.
Imagine that, right? I'm proactive.
Now, here's the $1 million question: are you guys going to cover that game?
Oh, I'm
Or those
sure of
games?
it.
Have to.
Is it in the budget?
Yeah, it's SD7 sponsoring us, so yeah, we're going.
All right.
Well, if you
Something
guys
like
need
Speaking of that, we
a
just
production crew,
we just
some
met with
help,
Nate Williams a
we're
couple weeks
available.
ago.
Well, aren't you guys?
yeah.
Aren't you guys going? Aren't you guys going to the Edison game this year in Maui?
He
Yeah,
just
We have
got
Sunset
back.
Rewind.
He just
Well,
got
let's
back
hit
from
up
Hawaii.
Jason. Yeah, I was just there for a week.
He got back on Saturday.
There you go. You got to reschedule, right?
Yeah.
Don't tempt me. It's tempting.
It is.
No kidding.
We're trying to piggyback on Edison's plan and see if we can pull that off,
Yeah.
but it's not happening. That's
Yeah.
our first week of school, and I can't the first week of school tell my principal I'm going to be in Hawaii for a week covering football.
Well, if you weren't Cypress guys, you could borrow Tustin's private plane.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Sorry, I'll leave that one right there.
Boom.
There we go.
Anyways, let's go ahead and wrap that up. We could go on with you guys all night. It's just like, shooting the football stuff with the guys here at the Griffin's Grill. But,
we actually are officially retired from Cypress just because we are so consumed with the Sunset League going to the games. We just can't do coach. It's just too much. It's just too much.
There's only a number of days you can do a high school football game in a week and then still leave yourself enough for a little bit of college and a little bit of NFL, right?
And I got a job full time, and I'm married with 3 kids. I mean,
Oh, wow,
there's a lot
there
of
you go.
play, so it's the time's getting tight.
I got no excuse. I'm all football.
Well, then coach.
No. I'm all Sunset
Football
Rewind
and media.
Yeah,
right.
media.
Well, we appreciate having you guys on. As always, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you guys later on this season. If you guys want to catch these guys, you can find them at the Sunset Rewind. They're on YouTube. They'll be bringing consistent content throughout the season, like we mentioned. We want to say a big thank you today to the Griffin Grill, also to the Showdown series for bringing us along.
Thank you so much.
They'll put a wrap on this week's show. Also, a big thank you to Rep Max, these guys at Sunset Rewind, for Kent Piquel. This is Justin Conley saying thank you. We'll see you We'll see you back here next week for our show with the defensive coordinator, Michael Cobley, and another edition of the Los Alamitos Griffins Coaches Show.